Well, what we wanted to talk about today was, first of all, last time we met, we had some, I thought, pretty decent conversation around energy efficiency and, what you're able to do with advanced controls and with IoT and how it applied to energy efficiency in the projects. But, before this podcast started, we were talking about a project and things that we're working on. And I think we just kind of realized what needs to happen in order for an IoT type project to really get deployed. So we were having a kind of an engaging conversation on that, and I thought, this is exactly what people are interested in, right? I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Tony, tell them a little bit about what some of our challenges were and what our ideas were on how to solve it.
Yeah. So what I would say is, when you look at all of the different controls companies that are out there, there may be, probably 5 pretty popular ones that have actually deployed projects, and everyone claims IoT and you can, support all these different devices. But in reality, there is really no one manufacturer that can do everything IoT. And to their defense, there's so many different things to do. But what we're having to do now is when we try to build an IoT solution off of a lighting platform, we realize that there are shortcomings in the hardware that we can use out in the field. Not just that, but there's also software shortcuts, shortcomings that are not available in the back-end systems for us to get access to certain information.
Yeah.
So what it looks like at this point is we're going to have to utilize multiple platforms, which is not a big deal, because it's really all about the solution or the problem that you're solving, right? And if the problem is big, then if you have to push out another networked control system into a building, as long as the benefit is there, which it looks like it is for our particular project that we have, then why not use multiple systems?
Yeah. And so in this investigation, we were investigating, like, I think all in, we probably touched on 5 different systems to figure out which system was really capable of doing what we're looking to do. And just to share with everybody what we're looking to do, we want to be able to track Bluetooth tags throughout a space, utilizing a network that's been put in place through the lighting retrofit. And so you have systems like Enlighted and Daintree that have, that they've deployed, or that they are advertising that they have these types of systems out there, and that's great. But then when you really want to dig into how to do it, you have to start asking yourself, what are they really capable of doing? How are they performing it, right? That's another thing that as you really dig into the system, you say, well, some have the processing out at the edge, some are doing it in the cloud, some require some sort of device that has an app loaded onto it. Mm-hmm. Those are all really important variables to take into consideration. And so then we're kind of hit with all those variables because, anybody goes to Light Fair and we all watch the presentations and it's like, hey, look at this, man, look at what we can do. And you say, holy smokes, let's do it.
Yeah. My favorite,
awesome.
my favorite
it's going to be the best solution ever. It's the easiest thing to deploy.
My favorite thing is Futureproof, but we just can't do it right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
but you're ready for the future.
I mean, I was looking at some stats earlier today, and there was this industry report that just came out that polled electrical contractors. And it was looking at trends and the comfort levels of all these electrical contractors with different technologies, networked lighting controls, wireless controls. The biggest trend that 56% of the respondents had 0 to very limited awareness was IoT. This whole concept of what is the Internet of Things? How does it all work, right? Because everybody's starting to get the grasp of, all right, lights, network control, I kind of got it. I can do the Lutron dimmers and those types of things. But once you get into this more in-depth stuff, it really is. It's interesting that it's not here yet. We're creating it.
It's true. And that, I think, is something that we're wading through right now and trying to see, okay, we don't have time. This is not at this point in the industry. We don't have time to wait for someone else to do it, right?
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
We got to either figure this darn thing out, or it's not going to get done. Because what I'm looking at, as I'm looking at each one of these manufacturers, they have their own ideas about, how they see it applying to the industry. And I think that what's going to end up happening is that whatever they end up being able to deploy over the next 2 or 3 years, and I think one of the big challenges that we're even seeing today is all that small business innovation that used to happen. Now, Enlighted's owned by Siemens, right? Daintree was bought by GE, Current, and whomever else, AIP, et cetera. And now we're seeing, Lutron. You kind of go down the list of half a different, yeah, exactly. Encellium. Adura was bought by Acuity, and you're looking around and you're saying, where's the small company innovation? And how many of these companies? So if you look at a company that's owned by a major building control system, are they going to approach the IoT space the same way that we would look, end user centric, where we're trying to develop solutions to solve business challenges, or are they going to approach it from a building controls standpoint? Right? And is a lighting company going to approach this new IoT from another standpoint other than lighting? So if we just wait for somebody to do something, then maybe the solutions will actually never get created. So I'm hoping that we're going to end up changing all of that, and by blending these technologies together and writing some applications that can leverage the technology, then heck, maybe we actually start solving some problems and develop some IoT together.
Yeah, I think that's the exact point, Benjamin. And Tony, you were just talking about before we started recording about the solution, and how right now the only option, or the best option, to deliver on what we're trying to build is taking two separate systems and just pulling them together, and then doing the integration and everything else. Exactly what Benjamin was saying. Now, I was thinking through this, and there was another article that I had pulled that I wanted to bring up on today's call. I don't know have you heard of WirePads at all, Tony? It's this company out of, I think it's Finland, or I forget where, but anyway, they're taking a really different approach on things, because they're going beyond Bluetooth and ZigBee open standards, and they're going to market with a complete proprietary solution. And I'm just curious if you're seeing that from the technology standpoint of, well, forget these open standards, because the open standards don't exist anyway.
Well, man, on that sort of thing, I think we're past that, like with ZigBee and Bluetooth and open standards. In the very beginning, everyone did proprietary stuff because it wasn't ready. And so they had to figure out things and sell things and get projects. But now I think to go proprietary would just be crazy. Look at Wi-Fi. It's all standardized Wi-Fi. Would you purchase a proprietary Wi-Fi network? I doubt it. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what their thoughts are on why they would do that, or what are they trying to provide.
There's still a split in the industry, right? You still have this particular industry looking for proprietary, because agents need the spec lock, and companies want to be able to lock in their products and get them, spec'd at a particular. It's all about spec, right? I don't see that battle ending soon, because out of the majors, between Acuity and Osram, I suppose Current being the one outlier, but Siemens with Enlighted. So of everybody, you don't see many. You see Daintree, who went ZigBee standard, right? Everybody else was proprietary ZigBee. You see Silvair going Bluetooth standard, but you still see 2 or 3 or 4 Bluetooth proprietaries, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I think right now you see one or two guys try to go to the standard, and then the rest go proprietary. And look, hey, I see the argument for both sides, because here we are saying let's blend multiple systems to get what we need. So if they're proprietary or open, I don't care, right?
Is there really an open standard platform out there as well?
Right.
I mean, that's a
right.
you know,
I don't think there
conversation.
is. I really don't think there is, because
Well,
every single
was Daintree. Was Daintree really open? Right. I mean, that's the big debate.
Well, because you still, you know, all these companies, they always say, yeah, it's an open standard on the edge, right? You can get any device, it'll join this network. But do we have the tools to actually read and write to that device? That's where they kind of fall short, and everybody does. I mean, now that everyone has an API, I mean, that's like the new thing. We'll give you an API so that you can have access to the data and you can do the things you need. The funny thing is, everyone's API doesn't give you access to IoT stuff. It's only the lighting stuff, because that's what they have available. So things are still getting developed for all these companies, right? I mean, we're finding when we go for solutions to each of them, you get the real information at that point, which is, we can't do that.
Yeah. And I think that is the biggest, that's why, Kevin, you said that we had this disparity out there. You had mentioned that I think, what was that? There was a poll or something that you had read?
Yeah, there was this electrical contractor had put a poll together, and it polled electrical contractors on their knowledge and comfort level with network controls, network lighting controls, wireless controls, and then industry trends that are going on. And it was interesting that, 65% or 2/3 of the respondents felt very comfortable with network lighting controls. Yeah, they may feel comfortable with it, but there was another part of the statistic, or another statistic from the survey, where back in the day when you were just doing a regular tube retrofit, and you would always be going back to fix things that went wrong, lamps going out and all of that kind of stuff. The survey actually also showed that you have actually more repeat calls to a site because of the programming of network lighting controls. So even though you have this industry in this segment, a bunch of electrical contractors, I mean, my dad's one of them, the old school guy. I think he says he understands network lighting controls, but does he really understand network lighting controls and all the stuff that goes behind it?
I was going to say exactly that. Who are they asking, and are they really, right? Because I'll tell you what, I'm not comfortable with advanced network controls. I think the 1/3 that said no was like us.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So, I mean, I thought it was really interesting, because even though they say 50%, right? Well, then you still have 50% of all other contractors that are out there that really aren't comfortable and don't know anything about this technology. And the wave is here. I mean, you have always talked about it, Benjamin, because you were selling this stuff for the longest time. The waves come, and IoT, it's going to make your building smart and all this other kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's here now. The market demand is here, where we're seeing end users saying, I want to be able to do X, Y, Z. That's beyond just turning my light on and off. And now it's like, push come to shove, a lot of these technologies aren't really ready. You gotta, you need to develop it yourself. So,
yeah, I would point out that survey that says, 50-60% of them understand network controls. From their perspective, it means, or comfortable with, from their perspective, it means I know how to wire up this device and press reset on it if I need to. Because we don't train the electrician or the installer how to use the system. They're not a part of that. A facility manager is, right? So. Sure. They don't really know what it can do. I mean, they're like, wow, this is neat. This wireless switch can turn on that light. Like, right. That's neat.
Oh,
I understand it, right? I mean, that's as far as they're going to go, because they're not taken to the next level.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just to chime in there, there was this other article that I wanted to kind of go through and read while we were on the line today. And it's kind of funny. It's more consumer facing, but it's all about the ridiculous GE video showing 14 steps to reset a smart light bulb, right? So I'm just going to read this quick little thing here. Creating a step-by-step video illuminating GE customers on how to factory reset their CGE light bulbs probably seemed like a bright idea at the time. Unfortunately, the procedures spelled out in this 3-minute clip are so complicated that the video has literally gone viral on the internet. And I was reading through, what do you got to do? Step 1, start the light bulb, let it stay on for 5 seconds. Turn off the light bulb for 8 seconds. Turn it back on for 2 seconds. Turn it off for 8 seconds. Turn it on and on and on. You get to step 12, and then it says, if you've done it correctly, the light bulb will flash 3 times. If it hasn't, yeah, you got to try it again and start saying, counting out 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So, I mean, yeah, the concepts I think are there, but when you actually get to the nitty-gritty technology part of it, it's confusing. It's insane. So,
Well, the thing that I always said years ago, and I still say it today, networking is difficult, and everyone's trying to make it simple. Think of a home Wi-Fi router, right? A lot of us can go to Best Buy, buy one. It's got the poster. There's 7 steps. You do those 7 steps, you're golden. If it doesn't work, you are screwed.
Right.
Because now there's nothing you can do. You're going to have to call Geek Squad or call their tech support, and they'll have to try to troubleshoot. It's the same thing. If the lighting package just works when it gets installed, you're good. But if someone has to figure something out, you end up with those 14 steps.
I literally just lived that. I was helping my father-in-law. He just finished a little office upstairs, and he couldn't get the internet to work. The cable company sent him a new modem, and he was like, I'll call them someday. So anyway, I started helping him, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out why the hell the internet wasn't working. I ended up sitting on the phone for 2.5 hours with I think it was Comcast, literally going through the steps just like that. So yeah, no, that's a good point.
And the other point I would make is too, with the Wi-Fi routers and stuff, there's actually a support mechanism. And for most of these projects that they do not have a professional installation company like SBT, right, that provides them with that one-click support where they can get help when things are not working correctly. That's what you need. I think the projects that go south are when the electrician has no one to call. He can't get a hold of the right documentation. So they just move forward because they got to finish. And now you end up with a really bad project that you could have caught early if they had the right support in the beginning.
That's a great point. I mean, that, not to belabor that issue, but that I mean, because we even talked a little bit about that last time, or I've talked about it in other presentations, but the commissioning part of setting these networks up is so important, and I think that not to give a plug on SBT, and I don't know that this is even really the direction that we want to go with this particular podcast, but if you are thinking about doing a system like this, no matter who puts it in, or no matter who is working on it or speccing it or anything, contact us, because it's really, if an agent or a contractor or somebody says, that's cool, I've gone through training, I know how to put this together, we've experienced it. We've experienced it with, even if you have Geek Squad come into your house and try to put in a smart thing system, or, anything like that, they even don't have enough experience, repetitive experience with one system to be able to quickly troubleshoot. They'll end up being on the phone for 3 hours, and you're like, dude, you got to get out of my house. It's dinner time, and they're still on hold with Samsung trying to get, somebody to respond, because that ends up being what the issue is. And we've spent our fair share of time on the phone with the systems, back in wherever they are, in Australia or Europe or wherever, trying to get them to troubleshoot the system that we have. But now we've got so much experience, we can do 90% of the troubleshooting, ourselves. We don't need to call the manufacturer, and that saves so much time, and we don't leave until the system's working, right? And we can train somebody to use it, and everybody's happy, and the system's fully functional and doing all the stuff that we promised you that it can do. That's an important aspect, and I think we should, make sure that we're helping everyone, because a contractor doesn't want to do that. I was a contractor for 10 years. I didn't want to do any of that kind of stuff. I wanted to install it and get out of the building. You know,
I mean, I'm actually interested by that because, like, so I'm all the electrical contractors that are out there, you know, watching this, and if you aren't watching it yet, hopefully you will start watching it. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts on this. This is a industry-wide issue and challenge. So I mean, I wonder if there's truth in those numbers in that electrical contractor survey, and I think maybe we should do that ourselves. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're gonna put together a survey.
We can survey our electricians and installers. We have over 200
That's exactly
of them,
what I was
right?
just thinking.
I mean,
As Benjamin was talking, I'm like, well, yeah. What is the real pulse of it? I mean, we have this, you know, huge network.
put our own poll out.
What's that?
Let's put our own poll out.
Right. That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what
We have
we'll
a better
do. Yeah.
cross section of contractors that are installing this stuff. I mean, 200. I think we're well over 200 now. What do you think we're at now, Tony? Probably 300.
It's got to be close. And the interesting thing that we can do is we could poll our mechanical HVAC guys, because I bet that will have a totally different outcome than an electrician.
Absolutely, I love it. We're going to do that, you guys. So I think that'll be really good info for everyone in the industry: manufacturers, controls manufacturers, integrators. And we'd love to share that kind of data. That's what we're doing.